Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Petey. We got Sean behind the Mac. Unbelievably, Craig is still in Europe somehow, but that's okay because we are very excited to welcome a special guest who has actually been on our show before. It's the former Arizona Coyotes Director of Amateur Scouting, Tim Bernhardt. Tim, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
And thanks for having me again.
So where are you right now? You're not in Arizona, obviously, so where in the world are you?
Yeah, I'm back in Ontario, back in Schaumburg. I enjoyed the Arizona winter, but I do enjoy the Canadian summers. So
just in time, because the weekend it's going to be 106.
Being a snowbird is like the way I want to
why
live.
Can't we do that? We should do the show from Ontario for the rest of the year.
I'm down. Sure down.
Get this thing moved.
Best of both worlds. Yeah.
Oh man. So what have you been up to? Are you just enjoying retired life? Are you, doing any side work? What have you been up to as of late?
No, absolutely. Enjoying retirement and just watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. Enjoy that. I enjoy watching the, baseball once the summer starts and that. But and then just, we travel around Ontario and just Canada for the summer. And we have family out in British Columbia and Calgary, Alberta, so we do that, and that's about it.
Okay.
Well, so I know we're going to talk a lot about the draft. So the draft is 2 weeks. Will you hunker down in front of the couch with a bowl of popcorn and watch the draft, or because it's like the busman's holiday that you don't want to go ride a bus after you've been driving a bus, like you'll just check out the news the next day, or how do you approach the draft now?
Yeah, real casual, like you say. If it's on, if I'm out that night or whatever, I won't really be. I'll watch it afterwards, or I'll watch the highlights or whatever. It's the draft is it's interesting. There's no doubt about it. But if you're not involved, you don't know the players. It's tough because you don't know the players. So it's kind of you're just like everybody else, and you know the names, and that's about it.
So take us inside. I mean, you were a scout for years and years and years with this organization and with Dallas as well. It's about 10 days before the draft at this point. The Coyotes are picking 6 and 12, and
at least for now.
For now, and what's interesting about this draft versus maybe the Coyotes last year is like who they're going to pick at 6 fully depends on what happens 1 through 5. And at this point, I don't think anybody fully knows. So from a scouting perspective in the room and, with Bill Armstrong, with the scouting staff, like can you just take us inside what could possibly be going on, how the scouting staff is approaching this particular scenario?
Yeah, I think they're just getting their own house in order. They're making sure that they have the guys that they want in order, and they can't really, you can play off of what everybody else is going to do a little bit, but for instance, okay, one guy's gone for sure,
yeah.
Connor Bernhardt. So there's one guy gone. We don't know. I mean, it sounds like Adam Fintelli will be gone also. And then after that, I think it's, so 4 names. So they're making sure they have 4 names that they really, are really solid on. And of course, it'll play out in front of them, and then it'll all fall into their lap, whichever player they're looking at. Now, they're going deeper than that because there might be an opportunity to move back. They might have 2-3 guys that they really like, and they're all available, and the opportunity might come up that somebody phones them and says they'd like the 6th pick, and we'll give you 8 or we'll give you 9, and they have to decide then at that point, like, are these the names that we absolutely, would be happy walking away with? We know we're going to get one of them if we move back. So that's kind of the scenario. They're just getting all their ducks in order in that sense.
But take it, and you go last year even when we sat here a year ago talking Shane Wright, and he's the guy, and he's number 1, maybe 2. And the Coyotes pick at 3, and all of a sudden Shane Wright's there. And we sat watching the draft live going, oh my gosh, the Coyotes are going to get Shane Wright. And they don't, and they move past him. So is there, when a player like that is a preemptive 1-2 and he's the guy, starts falling to your lap, is there almost a sense of panic? It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's coming. How well do we really like our guy because we didn't think this guy was here?
Well, I think they have, like I say, they've done their work, and they know that. They were probably prepared that, if Shane Wright was there, then they were taking Cooley. They had it made out that they had him ahead of Shane Wright. They had done their work. They have spent hours and hours and between scouting and video and interviews and everything, and they had come to their conclusion. This is the way we have it, and consensus are one thing, but that's not most of these consensus aren't the scouts that are working for those teams that are picking in those areas that are giving you their opinions, because they're not giving you nothing.
Yeah, and they know, like we sit here and talk about the media and here's what we think and here. But you guys, like you've seen it. You have a good idea of who team A, B, and C. We think they're going this way, so we better prepare for this.
Yeah, and the top teams, they've done tons of work. Whereas, like the consensus stuff, a lot of it comes from, of course, outside the sources, other scouting reports and stuff. But like Bob McKenzie, he gets his information from scouts, but it's not necessarily the scouts that are picking up there. It's
right.
The scouts that's picking might not even have a first round pick, or they might be picking, in the 20s or something. So yeah, they're willing to let you know what they think at the top end of the draft, but they haven't paid as much attention and they haven't done the work that those teams at the top have done. And so those are the ones that they're making the picks. So consensus can be whatever it is. Those are the guys that are making the decisions, and they've done the most work on it,
I want to ask you kind of about tiers in the first round, because, we see the prospects get ranked by tiers. So like elite, Connor Bedard, maybe Fantilli, maybe Carlson. And then you go to the next tier and the next tier. And it obviously depends on the depth of the year's draft class. But, 6 and 12, I just feel like they're interesting numbers. In your mind, like, is 6 and 12 the same tier? Are they different tiers? Like, I'm just curious how that works. And if, somebody did call the Coyotes, let's just say for 6 for 8, like, is 8 still in that range? I'm just curious, like, how differently ranked the guys they're eyeing for 6 are versus the guys they're eyeing for 12 would be.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, I think that, again, it's going to depend on the team. It's going to depend on the Coyotes and their scouting list and how they've built it. And, it's easy to say that us on the outside, again, we don't know the players. We know the names, but we don't know the players. They may have it all, the tiers might be all different for them. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, they're going to be, when they're talking at 6, they might even have a guy at 6 that they think, we might be able to get him at 12. And so they jump ahead and take, like, you take your best opportunity. It might be like, we're never going to get both these players, not at 6 and 12. But then you have to get the order of those two players. Say, well, if we take this guy at 6, we might be able to get the other guy at 12. Whereas if we take this guy at 6, there's no way the other guy is going to be available at 12 or even 10, if they want to try and move up or something. So they could have a scenario where they like two guys a lot and they have them really close together and they want to try and get both of them. So they try to manipulate things and try to work things to get both of them.
Have you been involved? You talked about trading up or trading down. Have you been on the floor and been involved in that scenario happening where you see things changing right in front of you and you go, gosh, we got to move up to get a guy, or I think our guy will still be here, let's move down? How likely is that with a top 10 pick?
Yeah, again, I think at the top 10, you kind of get to that where you have your eye on a player and you want to get him, and you don't really want to take that chance of moving back unless it's really close between two players and you think you can move back and still get one of the two players and you're equally happy with one of the two or one of the three, let's say, then you may move back. But if they got their eye on a guy at 6, I don't think they're gonna move back to try and take that chance of getting him at 8 or 10 or whatever. I think like you want to leave, if you got your eye on a player, you want to leave that draft with that player. You'd be so disappointed if it didn't turn out the way that you wanted, even though you're pretty sure it was. Even if you're 80% sure it's going to happen, it's like, man, if that 20% chance that somebody does take him before we get our next pick, then you're going to be disappointed. So you don't want to leave disappointed.
I remember talking to you about this when you were on our show last year about the best player available versus drafting for positional needs. And I think when you look at this draft class specifically, it's very forward heavy, but there are some, good defensive prospects in this draft. So, let's just say at 6, they take the best forward and then you get to 12. Do you just keep taking the best player available, or the Coyotes, like, they don't have a ton of defensive depth in their pipeline right now for the future? Like, do you pivot and think, okay, we really need defenseman and maybe take a defenseman even if they're not like the highest ranked just skater in general? Is that a thing that they would do, or is it really just about who's best available?
It is best available, but I tend to think like you are right now. I mean, I think at 12, I think like if they don't take a defenseman at 6, and then just the way you look at the names that are out there, it doesn't sound like maybe that's ideal. There's not going to be a top-notch defenseman at 6. So I would think at 12, they'll probably take a forward at 6, and then at 12, I would think they'd really have to think hard about not taking a defenseman. It'll have to be a forward that they absolutely is not even close to the defenseman, because you're right, they do need to build out their defensive depth on defense. They're just a little bit shy in that area, but I'm sure that like I say, I'm sure that at 12 it would have to be like so clear cut on a forward for them to take another forward.
Do you at this time now, we're talking 2 weeks away from the draft, is there a chance their draft list could change and anything change it in the next 2 weeks, or are they done and set and here's our list? Is there anything that can change that in these 2 weeks leading up to the draft?
They got to be pretty close to the way they want it. They got to be pretty close to it now. I mean, they may still do a few minor interviews, and they may have a few discussions. I'm sure they're still having discussion, but if it's just 1 or 2 spots, they're not talking about moving a guy 5 spots or 10 spots or something. It might be 1 or 2, and they might be digging right into 2 players type of thing to try and see which one they are going to decide upon ahead of the other one. But 2 weeks out, you should be pretty darn close to what you're doing. You don't want to panic and start moving things around. It's like you're sitting on it now and you're just letting it sink in. And like I said, I think it would only be maybe 1 or 2 spots that they would be debating.
On that same vein, the NHL Combine was just last week, and, they obviously take all the physical measurements, but there's the interview portion as well. And we actually had Brendan Perlini on our show last week, who talked about being interviewed by you specifically in those draft interviews. So I'm curious, since you've been on the other side, you've been the one leading the interview for a team, what is it that you're looking for? We've heard crazy questions asked, like what animal is your spirit animal? Weird things like that. Or what when you were the director of amateur scouting, like what was your approach to that? And what were you looking for in an answer? Were you looking for an exact answer or just how they were carrying themselves? I'm just curious from your point of view, what the draft interviews were like.
Yeah, I think you hit it on right there. Is that, you're just trying to get to know the player. You're trying to put let him get to know you, and you're just trying to get to know his, just a little bit about him, his background, like his parents, what his parents do, his upbringing, his hockey upbringing, his hockey background, and what you're really trying to do is you're trying to get him to know you guys, and we were always light with it. We always had fun with it. We always tried to have some laughs. We wanted him to like us. We wanted to, like you go to the combine and you're doing, let's say, 50, 60, 70 guys, you're going to get 1 or 2 of them maybe, because you only have so many picks, and usually guys that get to the combine aren't really your 5th round picks or your 4th round picks. Usually your top 3 round picks, but so you're going to get 1 or 2 of those guys. Some of them of your picks might not be there, so you're going to interview 60 or 70 guys, and this is your opportunity to let them find out about your hockey team, your group, and your organization, and so you want them to leave there going, man, I want to get drafted by that organization. You don't want to be, there's teams that grill these guys and they ask like the crazy questions, and the kids talk, and you hear the kids will be like, such and such a team, that was a terrible, that was a tough one, or and they didn't enjoy it type of thing. You can tell they didn't enjoy it, but we wanted to make sure that they enjoyed ours, because you never know down the road to leave with a good impression of your organization. So for us, it was as much of them not interviewing us, but them getting to know about us as it was us getting to know about them, because we always wanted to leave a good impression and have, you never know, free agency, whatever, down the road. And then the players talk, so you want them to talk good about your organization. So that's kind of what we tried to do.
Do you think that's changing now, Tim? Like you get sports psychologists doing the interviews. We got written questions. Like we talked about, what animal are you? Or like, is it getting to the point for some teams, and then clearly not all, that they're trying to just follow this script on, well, if he answers A, B, C, then we know he's not our guy. It sounds like you're more conversational, finding out who the human being is, and it's not the Wonderlic test. It's let's just find out about the kid. Do you think it's skewing that way though? More analytical, more psychology than it used to be?
Well, I mean, it always has had that. I mean, it's always been, you've always heard about the teams that did that kind of, the written stuff. And I'm not sure what they got out of it. I'm not sure what the answers led to. But, I mean, again, it gets down to watching them on the ice and learning about them that way. And you can learn stuff. We did have, when I was with Dallas for 18 years, we did have a sports psychologist, and we would send some of our top, the guys that once we had it honed down, okay, we were like these 5 guys or these 10 guys are going to be we would send them to the sports psychologist, and he was very good. He was really unique, the information that he gave us. And a lot of it was like, say, for your European players, he was like, this Russian player is never going to adopt to North America, and this guy's going to really be able to adopt. Like, he was really bang on all that stuff. And, you only get to draft so many of them, but when you look back at some of the players that we didn't get to draft, say a Russian player we didn't get to draft, and sure enough, the team that drafted him, they had a hard time ever getting him over here, and he never adopted. So you can get, a sports psychologist can give you that kind of information, and he was pretty good at being able to say, like, this he's not a true competitor, like he's a fake competitor, whatever, like stuff like that. And it was pretty good information. And over the years, I would say that it was valuable. We didn't, it was very expensive to do. If we didn't do a ton of players, like I said, we do maybe 10 to 15. We kind of honed in on the guys we wanted, but there's teams doing that stuff, and it's valuable stuff. So, but just the basic interview, what you're going to draw out of the kid, it's just a matter of getting to know the kid and just seeing what kind of a personality he had. Because I've always said too, like, the players come in all different kinds. There can be a kid that his personality might rub you the wrong way, or he might not quite. Doesn't matter. There's guys in the NHL that are like that. There's guys on every team that are, you're not going to hit it off with everyone. They're not going to be the perfect personality that you want, but they're good NHL players. So you might want to just look past some of that and make sure and not go by them, just because of some interview.
Does any of the physical testing at the combine matter? Like, has that ever swayed an opinion on a guy?
Not for myself, and not for the group that I've worked with. I think that it's good like the JPs and the strength. It's good for them because they get to get a base on where these players are. They get to see them when they're 17 years old, and they get to see them go through all these exercises and get the results from them. They can look at the charts and just say, okay, he needs work here. And it gives them a baseline to work out from. But again, I'll say it again, like, they come in all shapes and sizes, and so some of these players are 17 going on 14, and some of them are 17 going on 21, so they're all at different stages of their development. So the results are all going to be different. And you can use the results in a sense to maybe try and project, so a guy that doesn't score very well, it's like, okay, he's got lots of room to improve in that area. Right. Somebody that's like fully mature, fully developed, it's kind of like, okay, they're almost at their peak, right? Because, again, between 17 and 25, man, you get so many different levels of physical maturity and stuff. So you gotta be careful, and you can get that out of it. You can kind of try and figure out where they are on that physical maturity timeline.
Well, we're gonna put you at the draft table for the Coyotes for this year, and they've got 12 picks in this year's draft. So 2 questions. One, have you ever been involved in a draft where you had 12 picks? And what's the fewest picks you've made? Because I've seen guys, and you've seen GMs, when you get there, we're expecting to make 3 picks, and they trade them away, and you end up with 1 or 2. So the most and the fewest you've ever made.
Well, I started way back when. I think the draft had 11 rounds when I first started.
So you did have that many picks.
Yeah, I don't know that we ever had 11, but we had probably 9 or 10 or close to it anyway. So you did back then, but then you're talking like 11th round or 10th round or whatever. So, you just, at that point, you're just kind of, taking a shot in the dark.
Picking names out of a hat, yeah.
But yeah, no, there's been years in the 7-round draft. I think we've had as many as 9, and I think we had as few as like 4 or 5 one year in Dallas. But so yeah, the scouts for the Coyotes right now are, it's a great time for them because having scouts, it's like I've always said, it's you can go to a dartboard And if somebody gives you 4 darts, it's not as much fun as if they give you 9 darts and the scores are going to be the same type of thing. So it's like, it's nice to have those picks, and I'm sure the Coyotes, they'll be at another stage down the road, hopefully, when they're doing the other thing, they're trading picks for players, So take advantage of it and have fun with it, because it's no fun when you go to the draft with 3 or 4 picks. That's for sure. It's a lot of fun when you got 9 or 10 or whatever 12. That's crazy.
Crazy.
So it's fun stuff for the scouts.
Yeah, absolutely. We also had Daniel Winnick on our show earlier this week, because he was a 9th round pick for the Coyotes back in 2004. And we talk a lot about nailing later round picks. So I'm curious for you, just in your career, either with Dallas or Arizona, what you would consider the best late round pick that you've ever been a part of making.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's always late round picks. I mean, we got I think Jamie Benn in the 5th round. We got Mike Smith in the 5th round.
Wow.
Longtime Coyote goaltender when I was with Dallas. We got him in the 5th round. We got Connor Garland in the 5th round. We got John Klingberg in the 5th round. So we had some good success in the 5th round. UC Jokin in the 6th round. He had a pretty good career. He was a 6th round pick. Yeah. And any player you get in those rounds, it's a bonus. It's just like it's a lot of fun trying to get players, and I think it's probably more satisfying for scouts when you get players in those rounds. So it's a big part of it. There's only going to be probably 3 or 4 players, 5th, 6th, 7th round. There's only going to be 3 or 4 of them that end up playing in the NHL. So if you can get one of them, you're ahead of the 27 or 28 other teams. So it's quite a bonus to be able to get those players.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, we can't thank you enough for your insight. I think that all eyes are on the draft in a couple weeks, especially for Coyotes fans. With everything else going on, it's nice to just talk about the future on the ice.
Yeah.
So we appreciate your insight, and you're welcome on our show anytime. So thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much. And let's wish the Coyotes all the luck in the upcoming draft.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tim. Appreciate it.
All right. Yep. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to Tim Bernhardt for joining us. He just has years of experience. He's been a director of amateur scouting since 1999, first for Dallas, then for the Coyotes for, I think, 4 or 5 seasons. So he's been there, and it's really interesting to hear from him. We'll talk more about what he had to say. But for him now, as a retired scout, he just gets to put his feet up, sit on the couch, and I hope when he made the trip... But
he's not getting it there.
Well, I hope when he made the road trip from his winter home to Ontario, he drove, packed some Four Peaks, because he can just kick his feet up, drink a Four Peaks. He's not stressing. Is my guy going to be there?
Nope. He probably needed it when he was at the draft table too.
He's in HK mode. I love that for him.
Yep, HK. Four Peaks.
Yeah, we thank goodness for Four Peaks. They've gone through a lot, and if you're here in the Valley during the draft, if you're not coming to Nashville with us, enjoy a Four Peaks beer while you watch the draft. It'll be, I think, earlier in the day here, like 4:00 in the afternoon. Head
to the 8th Street Pub.
Yeah, perfect time. Yeah, head down to the 8th Street Pub location in Four Peaks. Check them out. Amazing food, amazing drinks as well. And you can buy Four Peaks wherever you buy your beer. You can check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. You must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Alternatively, you can take in OGs and watch the NHL draft. I don't know how that would work, but
tempt me.
Check it out. But seriously, OG's amazing. They have unbelievable flavors. They have all sorts of different strains for whatever you need. The Aquaberry Sleep Edition gummy. They have the strawberries and cream Happy Balance gummy mix bags of the fruits and the creams. Our favorites. You love the orange creamsicle. I love the blackberries and cream. We got pink lemonade dropping on June 21st, so that's right around the corner. And if your dad's into that sort of thing, it's seriously never been easier to cross Father's Day shopping off your list. So check out OG's online at ogsbrands.com and on Instagram at ogsbrands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary, but you must be 21 or older to purchase. All right. Well, thanks again to Tim Bernhardt. Just really great insight. He was part of even the guys he mentioned in that, all those late round picks, Jamie Benn, Connor Garland, that's crazy, but he's been there, he's done that, and it was cool to get a little peek inside to what could be going on at the Coyotes draft table.
And one of the things, though, when he's talking about the number of picks that he made, one thing that I think we will address as this carries on for the Coyotes is having 12 picks in a 7-round draft is a lot of picks.
It's a lot. And
they've got 4 in the 3rd round this year. I think it's something we're going to have to ask when we get closer to the draft, when we're going to talk to Bill Armstrong. What are the plans with those? Like, to make 12 picks, I guess personally, I don't see them making all 12.
They're going to move. Like, I feel more confident saying that. And I don't mean 6 or 12.
Yeah, I think those
they can make like smaller moves.
But I'm not even sure, and don't be surprised at one of the things Tim said. If there's players they really, really want, they have enough draft capital to either move up, or at 6, if you've got your eye on a player, and we're talking like, we don't think Will Smith's going to be there. We don't.
Probably not.
At 6.
Yeah.
Now, if Will Smith, if they have an inkling that Will Smith's available at 6, they may keep the 6th pick. But and I'm just speculating here, if they really have their sights on a defenseman that they think, gosh, I don't think anybody's going to take him, maybe we'll go to 8. And not only will we trade our 6, we pick up 8 and another 2nd round.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much available to Bill Armstrong in this year's draft. Having that many picks, especially those 3rd round picks, are really valuable. Those are still players that are going to be an impact player in the National Hockey League at the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're making 12 picks.
Well, and the other thing that we didn't mention is they could parlay this year's picks into picks for next year, because we're still in the rebuild. We're still stocking the cupboards. And like Tim mentioned, hopefully we eventually get to the point where they're sellers for picks, I guess.
Yes.
Rather than buyers like they are right now. But Bill Armstrong wants to stock the cupboards, and he's come on our show and said it's not about picking all the guys, it's about also using it for capital. And not just to invest in future picks, but to invest in players as well. Like, look how many trades are made for draft picks. And he has a ton in his arsenal. So I think this is going to be a fascinating draft. I also was really interested in what Tim had to say about going for a defenseman at 12. That's going to be really interesting. But at this point, like, I'm not even confident in saying they're picking 6 and 12. Like, so many things could happen. It's crazy.
This is different. This one feels different to me than even last year. I know Shane Wright fell, but there's so much. I think the Matvei Michkov piece, I think you're looking for a defenseman, and we've heard Reinbacher to Sandin Pellikka are both guys that come up. It could be in the top 5. Like, there's so many questions from 3 to 15 that the Coyotes could come away with this draft with very, very, very good hockey players that will be impacts when they come through this. I remember when Bill Armstrong was here and we talked about this draft with 12 picks, he said what you have to look for is not just getting them now, but building that cupboard full for years and years to come. But because what happens, and you look at teams like the LA Kings or even now the Vegas Golden Knights, that you trade away those picks to win now. And then LA went through years of, gosh, they don't have any young talent. Vegas just traded away Krebs, some of their future talent. St. Louis went through that when they won the Cup. The Rangers gave up some of their picks to make a run this year at Kane and Tarasenko. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to have those picks for the next several years. So you can use picks, but you don't use all your picks. You're not going into a draft with only 3 or 4. So I think there's an opportunity now to move some of those picks so that they can have those future picks.
Yeah. Well, speaking of defensemen, we're going to highlight one for our prospect spotlight of the day. Every day leading up to the draft, we're spotlighting a prospect, and Petey and I are not prospect experts, but we rely on the ones who are for the scouting reports, and we're going to focus on Swedish defenseman Tom Willander. I don't know if it's Willander or Willander.
Willander. I don't know.
Listen, if the Coyotes draft him, I promise
we will learn it.
We'll learn it. He's a 6'1", 180-pound defenseman, and he's kind of one of those guys mentioned when you hear defenseman in this draft. It's Reinbacher, it's him, it's Sandin Pellikka, in any order, those 3. But he's right there. So for the Coyotes picking at 12, if they do decide to go the defenseman route, Willander could be their guy. What do you know about him?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting pick, because when you talk about the top 3 defensemen in this draft, his name always comes up. His stock really rose in the under-18 tournament for Sweden this year. He's a guy that logs a lot of minutes. When he was in the finals against the Americans and the U18 championship, he played 30-plus minutes. So he's the guy on the defensive side that's playing against Will Smith and Gabe Perreault. He's the guy that's getting those big minutes against the best opponents that the other team has to offer. So this is a kid, one, he can eat minutes. Two, he's got a little bit of grit to him. And when we talked about sending Pellikka, he was more of a pure skating offensive guy. Willander is a guy that can play both sides. He's a little grittier. He's a little stronger, a little tougher. I won't say at 6'1", he's a big, mean defenseman, but he can go into the corners and dig out a puck. He's going to be more of a defender. This is something when we talk about the Coyotes and we talk about their needs at defense, I think this is a guy, this is a name you need to know. He will definitely, I shouldn't say definitely, we don't know. He's the guy that could be there at 12. Yeah. Willander is a defenseman that I think could be available at 12. He will absolutely be there at 6. So if they love him, you could see him in that spot. I still believe there's going to be a forward, and it's funny that that's what Tim thought as well. And the defense for the second pick, I think Willander is the guy that definitely could be there at 12. And I think he's a grittier defending defenseman, I think it's something that Bill would be interested in that fits his mold. So he's a name that you definitely need to know.
Yeah, for sure. And when Corey Prodman was on our show, I think last month or the month before, he said he competes well. He's an excellent skater, good, not great offense. Some of the same things were said about Jake Sanderson in his draft year, and that's worked out well so far. So that's what Corey Prodman had to say about Willander. Definitely an interesting defensive prospect to keep your eye on. As a Coyotes fan, and again, his size being a little over 6 feet, a lot of the guys that we've been talking about have been...
Yeah, that 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, that 5'10", 5'11". So... Willander, he fits in that over 6 foot mold. So
yeah, he's 6'1". Really he can grow. I mean, he's at 180 now, but even Tim said that they're going to grow and they're going to put on muscle and they're going to get in with the strength and conditioning guys. So I think he can be a guy that's going to play closer to the 200, 6'1", 200. I think this is a guy that you've talked about Mosier, you talked about Valimaki. They have some young defensemen that right now are playing power play minutes. This is a guy that could also be in a top four situation for the Coyotes. I like Willander a lot. I think this is a guy that will focus on. I don't think Reinbacher will be there at 12. So when you're looking at defensemen, I think this is a player that could be there. And you go back to what Craig Button said. His style of play translates to the NHL. So it's somebody you need to know.
Absolutely. Should be extremely interesting as we keep saying. And we will be there in Nashville. A group of you listening are going, but for those not, we will have full wall-to-wall draft coverage and continue to talk about the draft. Next week, Craig will be back finally on Monday on our show. And I know he has some stuff in the pipeline ready to go on the story side that I know a lot of you have been looking forward to, so stay tuned for that. But become a diehard. In the meantime, you can join our family, join our Discord, get 20% off merchandise, get 20% off on events, get access to Craig's diehard-only pieces on the website as well. So just tons of perks to being a diehard. And check out PHNXlocker.com. I know Father's Day is literally Sunday, but we have a Father's Day sale going on right now. Buy one, get one, half off all shirts and hats in PHNXlocker.com. So, you could just say to Dad, hey, your gift's on its way. It's just a little late. It's okay. You can pull that card.
From a dad, we don't care. Yeah. If you send me a card saying it's coming, at least you thought of me. Perfect. So do it.
So check out PHNXlocker.com and make sure to take advantage of that offer today. Another thing you could do for your dad this weekend is maybe take him to Illegal Pete's. I could see you and Jackson doing that easily.
I can definitely see Jackson and I doing that.
Enjoy some margs.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Sit at the bar, watch some baseball.
That's actually a really good idea.
You're welcome,
Jackson. Not to do it Saturday, though, because he's got to travel.
That's okay. So. And Illegal Pete's, if you can't make it Sunday, you can stop by for Margarita Monday on Monday. Exclusive to Arizona locations, $3 margs all day, every Monday. Nothing brightens up that Monday mood more than soaking up the sun with a few margaritas. And don't forget about Taco Tuesdays, $2 tacos all day, every Tuesday. Enjoy your favorite chicken, pork, and veggie tacos for just $2. So swing by and start your week off the right way at Illegal Pete's. All right. It is Friday. And also, by the way, we haven't even come out and said this. We are recording this on Thursday.
Why?
I want to say, because I am actually in New York right now. As you were watching this,
Craig's in Europe. You're in New York. What the hell?
At least your house is done. Oh no, you're painting still.
I got to get back to work after this show too.
Good.
But yeah, so full transparency. So that's why we're not answering all the comments.
Yes, yeah, we want to be transparent. And you might be thinking, Leah, you wore that shirt yesterday. You're right, but I'm wearing it again because we are recording back to back.
Okay.
We just want to be transparent and open.
Yes.
But let's start with, should we do 10 days of Tootsies first, or do you want to do weekend binge first?
Let's do weekend binge first.
What do you got? I know you had something new in the pipeline.
Yeah, I went to Amazon Prime, and I know it should be on BritBox, but it's not. It's called Deadlock, and LOCH, like the Loch Ness Monster.
Okay.
So it's Deadlock, and what it is, it's a half-hour, very dark comedy on police detectives trying to solve a murder. But it's dark. Like but it's funny, and they're actually trying to solve a murder, and I'm a couple episodes in, and this is not family friendly.
Okay.
There may be some full frontal male nudity in the first 2 minutes.
Oh.
It's a corpse, but he's buck naked. So I don't want to give anything away. She might actually drop a cigarette and light his junk on fire. But
oh my God. Spoiler alert.
That's in the first 2 minutes, so it's not really the plot. But it's funny. It's called Deadlock. It's on Amazon Prime. Try something different. Expand your horizons. It's funny, and it's also a murder mystery.
I love that. I feel so lame. What?
You love that?
Got me. I feel lame. I really have nothing new. I'm still watching Silo. It kind of dipped for me. It's getting better again. I really want to try the one we talked about last week, the Tom Holland new one on Apple TV. So I might download that for the plane. But yeah, I've just been reading this.
Reading?
I've been reading a lot. I'm reading this post-apocalyptic book series. It's 7 books. I'm on book 4. No, I'm on book 5. I don't remember.
Does it come in audiobook? Maybe I would do that.
Maybe. I think so. But it feels like reading just one long book.
Oh.
So it's like, it's fine. It's not my favorite book I've ever read, but I'm entertained. I don't even know what it's called. I'm so sorry.
It's a great review.
I think it's called it's like the Edge of Collapse series or something. If you just like want a passive read about like a post-apocalyptic thing, go for it. Sean, do you have anything? I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm still watching Shameless. And
Excellent.
I love that show, so I'm still in the middle of that. I really need to start The Idol, The Weeknd's new show.
Oh,
on
we
HBO.
talked about that last week. Yeah,
I really want to see that. And then in the spirit of reading, I've been reading Moneyball. Finally, really enjoying that. And then I have a book about the Negro Leagues I have to read after that. So I doubt I'll get through Moneyball this weekend, but if I do, I have a book on the Negro Leagues next.
Love it. Let us know in the chat. What?
You love it.
God dang it. Let us know in the chat what you're watching, because I clearly need recommendations. I come with nothing new to offer. However, the new Love Island just started this week. It's there's people like Michaela. She watches it with like a VPN where she makes her computer think it's in the UK and like watches it in real time. I wait the 2 weeks for it to come on Hulu. So get ready, everyone, because in 2 weeks, I'm back on the Love Island UK train, and that will be my weekend binge every day, every week for 2 months.
Yeah, actually, I can't wait.
All right. Well, on the subject of fun, let's move on to 10 days of Tootsies. I think today is day 4.
This should be 5 because this is Friday.
Did you start on Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. 10 days of Tootsies. What do we got?
We are going to hockey legend. This is more of about the person in the picture than actually Tootsie's background. This is Tootsies with Grant Fuhr.
Oh,
Grant Fuhr,
oh my God,
Stanley
Petey.
Cup champion. Yeah, look at it. I got the flow going. Yeah.
Oh my God,
I don't have a beard.
the glasses.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. But Grant Fuhr, a star goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers, and that's
legend.
He enjoyed himself some Tootsies too. So that's Grant Fuhr at Tootsies and day 5 of Tootsies, and we will be in Tootsies in less than 10 days. And that's 10 days of Tootsies.
Wow,
with Grant Fuhr.
That is an unreal selfie, Petey. I gotta be honest.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really cool.
There he is. 10 days of Tootsies. Look how good he is.
Yeah, no, he looks amazing. He's a
golfing
legend.
now. He's golfing now.
Maybe he's
golfing today. Maybe he's go-karting because Father's Day's coming.
Listen,
and what better place to go?
Okay. Amazing Father's Day activity, because
it really is.
When you think of Octane Raceway and Mavericks, you might think, oh, it's just go-karting or it's just
bowling.
No. Kart racing, virtual reality, laser tag, axe throwing, bowling, arcade, food and drinks. There's like 10 bars in this place.
There are bars everywhere, but I'm not axe throwing. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll
drive.
That's okay.
Sharp objects.
There's bars, there's TVs everywhere. The food is amazing. They have 4 Peaks on tap, by the way.
Yes, they do.
So check out Octane Raceway and Mavericks, and there's free bowling for kids all summer. Kids 15 and under are eligible for 2 free games each day. So check out octaneraceway.com and mavericks.com.
That's a great idea for Father's Day.
Amazing.
If you have a 15 or under, they can bowl for free.
Yeah.
And that could be their Father's Day present.
Yeah.
And make dad pay. But that's
yeah,
brilliant.
well, when
Brilliant.
you're that age,
Love it.
you don't have a job yet. It's fine.
Love it.
Yeah, love it. Oh my God, I said it because you said it.
I know. Love it.
Love it.
We're gonna
Love
get it. We're gonna get you a T-shirt that says "I love it."
I suggest you just lean into it heavy. Go the other way. Say "love it" like every other sentence. It's Cold Stone.
Mike Lucan right here. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Petey, anything else before we head out for the weekend? Craig's coming back finally.
I will say that Craig's back Monday. And he keeps threatening to start writing stories again, and then he just doesn't. So he did tell us on his arrival back that he's going to spend some time writing. So expect some.
He has good stories in the pipeline. So you're going to be happy. Yeah.
There's some stuff coming next week from Craig when he gets back. So I'm looking forward to getting him back in the show and hearing a little bit about his trip on Monday. And honestly, I'm really getting excited about the draft. And I know we jest about going to Tootsie's and having fun in Nashville. The reality is this is a draft that could change this franchise. And the number of picks that they have over the first 3 rounds is impressive. And this could change the face of the franchise forever if they pick them right and develop them right and get them in the lineup. So I think the closer we get to this draft, and I know Connor Bedard, but Chicago's going, okay, we drafted Connor Bedard. What else are they going to talk about? We literally have no idea.
And that's fun. I love that.
The mystery.
I love the mystery.
I think it's really cool. So I'm excited to see what direction this goes. There's more intrigue for Coyotes fans on draft day than even a year ago.
100%. Yeah.
So 2 picks in the top 12, I think bodes well, and it's going to be fun to watch the drama unfold. And Sean and I will be there live talking about it. So if you want to have a second screen going during the draft, Sean and I and Shane are going to be in Nashville live.
Love it. I'm done.
I know.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit the like button on this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on audio, leave us a review. You can follow us on Twitter at @SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Craig S. Morgan. Tell him I can't wait for you to be back. At Sean_DePaz. You can follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back live all next week, 11 a.m., Monday through Friday with Craig back in the fold. Excited for that. And thank you again to Tim Bernhardt for joining us earlier. Great stuff. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. And we will see you all on Monday.